Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Be a Better You podcast. I am your host and subconscious reprogramming expert, Allison K. Dagney. For those of you who don't know me, if this is the first time you're tuning in, I am a survivor of 20 years of emotional and narcissistic abuse, and I am a two-time best-selling author as well as this podcast host, and I help women recover from emotional abuse. Now, as you've listened to this podcast, you know that my focus is on reprogramming the subconscious mind, shifting your thinking and perspectives, and making way for a better life, essentially. And this episode is going to be a little bit different because I really wanted it to be interactive. So what we're going to do today is we're going to define what better actually looks like for you, and then I'm going to help you clear the blocks that are holding you back. So in this episode, I'm not just teaching you, I'm actually guiding you through an exercise that you can do as you listen. So you'll finish this episode with some new clarity on what being a better you actually looks like for you, because it's going to be different for everyone. And most importantly, you'll uncover some of the subconscious reasons why it hasn't felt possible for you before. So in this interactive episode, I'm going to give you prompts and I'm going to invite you to pause the episode and write your answers so you can kind of think of it like a little mini class. So I'd really encourage you to come back to this at a different time. I mean, you can listen to it obviously if you're driving or if you're on a walk or something like that, but I'd really encourage you to come back to it when you can sit down with a pen and paper and actually put this stuff into action. Now, that's a big thing for me. I always wanted homework when I was in my therapy with my therapist for 4.5 years. And after every session, I would say, well, what can I do? Like, how can I help myself? What kind of homework do I need to do? That's just how I operate. I need tasks. I need something to do in order to make progress. And that's just me personally. So that's why I want to give this to you today. Now, before we get into the action piece, I do want to go over a couple of things to help you understand and kind of give you a little foundation here. So why do we struggle to take action? This is a problem for a lot of survivors of emotional abuse. We feel like we're spinning our wheels. We feel like that we're not making any progress. And for this specifically, if you want to be a better version of yourself in some particular area of life, right? Let's say you want to be a better mom, you want to be healthier, you want to be good with money, like whatever that is. The problem is most people stop there. They stop at the label. I want to be healthier. I want to be a good wife. I want to be a great mom. I want to be good at managing my money. I want to be a good business owner, whatever that might be, okay? They stop at the label and that's it. And the problem with this is that your brain doesn't act on vague labels. Your brain needs specifics. It needs detail. It needs imagery. It needs direction, like GPS. Okay, so think of it like that. Without that direction, it just keeps kind of looping in confusion and circles and really doesn't go anywhere. So that's why a lot of times people are like, I'm on this hamster wheel and I don't feel like I'm stuck and I'm not going anywhere. This is why. So let me give you an example. So let's say that you want to get better with money and you say, I really want to get better with money. If you just stop there, essentially what you're doing is you're telling, like in the analogy of a GPS, you're telling the GPS, I want to go somewhere nice, but you don't put the address in. You don't say if you want to avoid highways. You don't map out anything. You just say, I want to go somewhere nice, right? Do you really think you're ever going to get there if you don't bring in some detail or an address or like a point of location? No, you're just going to keep spinning in circles. So it's no different when we want to be a better X, Y, or Z. I want to be better at this. I want to get better at that, right? We have to have a plan. We have to have some steps in place. So let's talk about the trauma piece here as well. So why do survivors struggle with this? Okay. A lot of them do. I was one of them as well. But the reason why is because if you have been abused, you've been experiencing trauma for an extended part of your life, you're going to carry subconscious programs that block that action. So again, if this is the first time you're hearing this, you may want to go back to I think it's episode number 4 and listen to that, because that gives a really good foundational piece about how this works in the subconscious mind. So if you're carrying programs, any beliefs that you've been told about yourself, about the world, about your abilities, about who you are, right? You've been programmed like a robot or like a computer, right? You have been, had input directives about who you are and what you can do and what the world is like. All these things are beliefs. And those beliefs dictate how you feel, and those emotions dictate how you show up in the world. Okay, so let's talk about a few of these. If you believe that you can't stick to anything long term, I used to believe this, like, oh, I just can't stick to anything long term. I do something for a couple of weeks and then I fall off the tracks and then I'm back to where I started. Well, part of this comes from your conditioning. My abuser always told me that I was lazy. He always told me I was inconsistent, that I was 90% and I never followed through with anything. And these kinds of things become a program that not only are you operating on while you're in the abusive relationship, but that you carry even after it. Okay? So if you're struggling with this too, please know it is just a program and it can be reprogrammed. If you believe that you aren't deserving of these things. Now, you may not know this consciously, okay? For those of you who haven't heard this before, think of your mind like an iceberg in the water, and the part that's underneath the water that you can't see, that's 95% of the iceberg, is below the surface. That's your subconscious. The top part that's sticking out, that's the 5%, that's the conscious mind. So consciously you might say, oh, I do deserve to be treated well. Oh, I do deserve to have a healthy relationship, right? But if deep down, under that 95%, you actually have programming that says you don't deserve it, then your nervous system is going to reject those healthy relationships that you ever come across and start to sabotage them. Okay, so we've got to get to the root of the issue here in order to be able to help you become the best version of yourself that you strive to be. The other thing is why survivors struggle is because of the freeze response. When you are under chronic stress, your nervous system may be wired for freeze. Okay, this trauma response, there's fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. But often survivors get wired to freeze instead of act, okay? Because it's like, if I do something, it's going to be wrong. If I make a decision, I'm going to get in trouble. If I do this, then I'm going to get criticized, right? So instead, to protect yourself, you freeze and you don't make a decision, okay? Action felt dangerous. Action often feels dangerous to survivors. Making decisions feels dangerous. Okay, so if you're carrying that from your abusive relationships or your traumatic experiences, then of course it makes sense why you would struggle to be the best version of yourself and take action towards those goals because you're in freeze mode. Okay, so it's not your fault, it's just a program. Okay, now here's where I want you to reflect. So grab that, pause now if you need to grab your pen and paper. And then I'm going to give you some questions to answer. And you take as much time doing these answers as you want. This isn't a rush. You can pause this episode, okay? But I'm going to go through them like one by one just for the sake of, time on the podcast. Okay, so number one is when I think of being a better version of myself in any area of my life, okay, you insert whatever that is. What's the first voice that tells me I can't? Whose voice is it? Where did it come from? And I want you to really think about that. Take some time and really journal it out. Number two, what do I believe will happen if I succeed at this? If I do become better? If I am this version of myself that I want to be? So what do I believe will happen if I succeed? Okay? You might be worried someone will leave you, that you will lose your love, that you will feel unsafe, that you won't be able to protect yourself, that you won't have as many friends anymore, right? There's always a reason, a positive reason, why we would resist this kind of success, okay? There's always going to be some reason your body and your mind and your nervous system is going to prevent you from doing it, Okay, so let's try to figure what that is. What do I believe will happen if I succeed? Number 3, where do I find myself sabotaging? Where are you quitting? Where are you giving up too soon? Where are you pulling away? Where are you self-betraying? Where are you numbing? Right? Even when you know consciously you want better, right? So this is why we're digging into the subconscious, because consciously you know, I want better. I do want these things. But let's dig down. Where do you catch yourself in the sabotage? Okay? So answer those questions. Come back to them if you need to. Now, this is the kind of stuff I do with my clients in my one-on-one emotional healing mastery program. It's a 16-week one-on-one coaching program. And so we get underneath these blocks. It's going to be different for everybody, right? But we're not only pulling them out, getting them up from the depths of the lower part of the iceberg, but we are rewiring them. I use a 4-step proven method to help you rewire these subconscious beliefs that actually shifts the neural pathways in your brain. If you believe I can't do it and I'm never going to make it and it's too hard and I've never been good at committing, right? If you believe those kinds of things, how do you think it's going to turn out? If you believe I can do whatever I put my mind to, I'm able to handle difficult things, I am persistent, I can push through, right? If you believe those kinds of things, how do you think it's going to turn out, right? It's going to be very different. 2 people with 2 separate sets of beliefs are going to have 2 separate outcomes, okay? So we rewire the subconscious, we reset your nervous system, and that way taking action doesn't feel impossible anymore. And you have to remember, these things aren't going to be something that you're going to be thrown into. Everything that I do in my program is intentional and it is baby stepped. Okay, so the first few sessions that we're together, I'm just teaching you this method. I'm training you on how to reset your nervous system and start looking for other possibilities and things like that. So I tell my clients a lot of times, like, you wouldn't succeed at swimming if you didn't know how to swim if I put you on the high dive and threw you off into the deep end, right? Your whole body would set off alarms and you would resist and you'd say, I never want to see you again. I put you in the shallow end with a flotation device with me right by your side while you just dip your toe in the water, okay? And then we eventually get more accustomed to what we're doing, and eventually you'll be able to swim by yourself, okay? So I don't want you to feel scared about this process, and I want you to know that it's totally possible to be the best version of yourself and change any aspect of your life that you choose, but a lot of this has to start in your subconscious mind, because without that piece, you're just going to be running those old programs again, and oftentimes in circles. So let me give you an example. I had a client who, when she came to me, she'd been in an emotionally abusive relationship for years. They had divorced, and she really wanted and deeply desired a healthy relationship. Now, we had to work on her self-worth and her own self-love first, because that is foundational. Okay, without her being able to know what she is deserving of, she wasn't going to ever be in a healthy, happy relationship, because she would have sacrificed, she would have self-betrayed, she wouldn't have set boundaries, she would have let things get out of control. So every time things got close, previous to, uncovering these subconscious beliefs and shifting them, but every time things got close with a man who she was trying to date and all of that, she would shut down, or she would find that she was picking fights with the person. And she would sometimes even make up things that weren't real, in her mind, as an issue. And so the reason this was happening was because deep down she believed she wasn't worthy of being loved. She didn't have those programs set. So once we started working through those blocks and we started to show herself, wait, I am worthy of this. I do deserve to be loved. I do deserve a healthy relationship. Then she was able to fully receive it. Really, really receive that love from a healthy partner. And so now she's in a healthy relationship. She's traveling with her partner. She's being taken out on these amazing dates and doted on. And, she posted on her social media, and it's amazing. And she tells me that she feels so much freer and so much happier than she ever could have imagined. And this is all because of bringing up the subconscious blocks and starting to reprogram them. And you can have this for yourself too. Okay, so I want to walk you through a few steps. There are 5 steps to what I want you to do here. So again, you can pause if you need to, but this is the interactive piece that I want you to put on paper. So number 1 is to pick the area that you want to improve. A lot of times people want to just improve their whole lives, right? I just want to be, great at everything. And let me tell you, it's going to be so much easier for you if you just start with one thing, okay? So what is an important thing for you? What is something you really want to be better in? And I just want you to write that down at number 1. Do you want to be a better mom? Do you want to be a better partner? Do you want to have better health? Do you want to be better with money? Do you want a better career? Whatever it is, and it can be anything, okay? You want to be a better communicator. Doesn't matter. You choose, okay? Make it something reasonable. Make it something doable that you feel like that you could achieve, but you just need some help. Okay, so just pause and write that down. Step number 2, I want you to define it specifically. Okay, so what does being better in this area actually look like in action? Okay, I'm going to give you some examples and then you can pause. But if I want to be good with money, I can't just stop there. I have to say, okay, I'm going to track my expenses weekly. Every Sunday night, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to track my expenses. I'm going to put a note on my calendar to do this with a reminder so I don't forget. I'm going to clear out the space on my calendar to do this. I'm going to set some goals for savings. I'm going to open a new bank account just for savings or whatever, right? I'm going to learn about investing. I'm going to learn about money management. I'm going to commit to watching one YouTube video a week to learn about something new that I didn't know, okay? So being good with money isn't just saying, oh, I just want to be good with money. And then when you go out to eat, you're like, oh, I'm just going to get a water instead of a soft drink, right? That's not what being good with money means. Being good with money is a lot deeper than that. And if you're not sure what that is, ask people you know who are good with money. What do you do with your money? How do you deal with it? What are the things that you do every day? What do you do every week? What do you do every month? How do you deal with things, right? Are you putting your money, and I learned this from my friend Christine Lucan, who I have an episode about with her on financial abuse, but she always talks about this. And if you're not spending time with your money, it's like a person in your relationship, you're not going to be better at dealing with money because you're not treating it respectfully. Another example would be being a great partner. What if you say you want to be a great partner? I'm going to be better. And you tell your partner, I'm going to be better. I'm going to be, this or that, right? But what does this actually look like? Do you think about how much you appreciate your partner daily? Do you go into, 5 minutes of gratitude every morning when you brush your teeth? Are you scheduling in quality time to spend with them? Are you listening without getting defensive? What are the action steps that you are taking to be a great partner? Because just saying it doesn't really move the needle. Another example is healthy. I know a lot of you want to be healthy. I know this because of my beliefs quiz that I have, my free quiz on my website. So many people just want to be healthy. They say, I just want to be a healthy person. They feel like they're not and they want to. So what does that actually look like? Again, are you taking action towards that goal? Are you scheduling in movement, exercise? Are you eating healthy foods? Are you going to the doctor? Are you meeting with a therapist, a coach, or healer, right? What is it that shows your mind that you actually do value this? What is it that you're doing day to day? What is the plan that you have? Are you saying no to things that are bad for you? Are you eliminating drugs and alcohol? Are you trying to get a good night's sleep and sticking to a schedule so that you can do that? Like, what are you doing to be healthy? Okay, because just saying you want to be healthy isn't going to change anything. Okay, your brain needs more direction, it needs more details, and it needs action to support that. So what you can do here is pause and write out 3 specific actions that you will take as it relates to step number 1 in that specific area. So what 3 to 5 specific actions can you start to do? Okay, now step number 3. I read a book called The Code of the Extraordinary Mind by Vishen Lakhani. I think that's how you say it. He is the guy who started Mind Valley. And this book is really, really good. I would highly recommend that anyone read it. It's amazing. But he uses this question technique. And so I'm going to have you do this in step number 3. So instead of saying like, how do I get better at money? Or how do I be a great mom? Or how do I be a better partner? Ask yourself, why am I a great partner? Why am I a great mom? Why am I healthy? Why am I good with money? Okay. And so your brain might be like, but I'm not that yet. Okay, but I want you to go with this, okay? What this does is it flips the brain into finding evidence and then builds that confidence instead of you focusing on the lack. Because what you show your mind, it sees more of, okay? So why am I a great mom? Okay? And then you're going to write down 5 reasons why you are already good at this or great at this, okay? So if you're like, but I'm terrible at it, I need you to pull back away from that. I need you to stop that thinking, and I need you to stretch your brain and look for 5 reasons, and they can be anything, okay? So if you say, well, why am I a great mom? Because I care deeply about my children, number 1. Because I show up even when it's really hard. Like I go to my kids' games even though I have to see my ex there every time. Because I'm teaching my kids resilience through my own actions. Because I say I'm sorry and I apologize when I screw up. Because I love them unconditionally. Okay? So I want you to write 5 reasons why you all are already that. Okay? This is a really good like brain hack that you can do. And then you can start to incorporate this just into your day-to-day and remind yourself of these things. You know, like if you get down on yourself and say, oh, I'm just not a good mom. Wait a minute. Why am I a good mom? And start focusing on the points and pieces that actually show your brain that you are. Okay. The more detailed, the better actually too. Okay. Step number 4. I want you to start creating some tiny action steps, like baby steps, these micro actions. Like I mentioned before, like jumping into the deep end versus starting in the shallow. Now, what you'll do here is you will pick one specific thing and break it into a tiny step. Okay? So an example of this would be, let's say if you want to get healthier and part of your action is to run 3 miles. Let's say you just want to get to the point where you can run 3 miles. Well, maybe the tiny micro action here is walking for 10 minutes after dinner. I'm going to go for a walk for 10 minutes after dinner. Do you see how we're breaking? Like 3 miles is much different from 10 minutes, a 10-minute walk, right? But we have to slowly integrate into these actions. Otherwise, if you try to go for a 3-mile run and you're not used to doing that, you're not going to reach your goal. You're probably going to, be really tired, give up after a really short period of time, because otherwise you're just using willpower and you're just kind of forcing and pushing. So let's make this reasonable and achievable. Okay, so pick something that breaks it into a tiny step. So let's say your money was your thing and you want to be better with money. Okay, so let's say one of your things is I'm going to have $5,000 saved by the end of let's say in a year. Let's say you give yourself a year to have $5,000 saved. Well, let's break it into something more manageable and small, right? I'm going to put away $5 a week into a specific account. Like that's all you have to do. Just make it something small. Okay. Now, what you can do here is I just want you to write it out. Just write out what that tiny action is. Okay. So think about it, take a moment and really think about what that is, and then write it out. Step number 5 is we're just going to anchor into this new identity, because this is what you're building, is a new identity to be a better you. Okay. So what I want you to do here is finish this sentence. And so you'll pause after I say it, and then you can finish the sentence. But being a better me looks like, and then finish the sentence. Pause and write your statement. Okay, those are the 5 steps. All right, now that you have some clarity, you have an action plan, not just these vague goals that aren't backed up with any sort of action or description, you should be able to start to implement these things. Now, if you have resistance, if you don't follow through or things like that, that's okay. We are human. You will make mistakes. No one is perfect. Okay. So I don't want you to get to the point of like, oh, I had this whole plan and then I didn't even do it and I beat myself up about it. Like, that's not the point here. Okay. Hopefully also you've uncovered some subconscious blocks that were holding you back. And as that happens, it's going to be a lot easier to start to shift towards the things that you want to do, because those blocks aren't going to be in your way anymore. And I want you to remember that being better in a specific area or improving, this is all about self-development here, isn't something that happens overnight. What it is it's making a choice every single day to be and embody the person who you already are. And you have to be willing to commit, and there has to be a good reason why you want to. And then you have to also look at, okay, what's the resistance to why I might not be able to do this, or why I keep falling off the wagon, or why I backslide, okay? And I can help you do that too. So if there is something specific that you're struggling with, I can help you, one, uncover those subconscious blocks, we'll figure it out, and then teach you how to reprogram them so that your new automatic is leading you towards that goal, okay? If this episode has spoken to you, sparked something in you, and you're realizing that there is deeper work to do and that you want to be that best version of yourself, and that your subconscious beliefs are probably what's holding you back, then that's exactly what I help with. And you can book a free root cause call with me, and we can see what's possible for you. In these root cause calls, I will help you. We can look at something specific. I will help you by asking you many, many questions and getting to the root of it and figure out where we need to go next, right? Because some people come to me and the root is that they don't have any self-worth and they don't have any self-love, and that really is the root. Some people have roots in fear. Some people have roots in guilt and regret. And so we'll figure out what that is for you, and then I can guide you and say, here's what I think would be the logical next step, and here's how I can help you do that. All right, so just as like a quick little recap, you are an amazing human. You have amazing capabilities. You can do pretty much anything that you put your mind to, as long as you don't have these boulders in your way of the subconscious mind. So being a better you, whatever that looks like, is possible. You just have to clear the blocks that are holding you back. And I can help you do that. If you want, go back, re-listen to this, and go through this exercise for each and everything that you want to improve for your life. So if it's, let's say you just did it for the money one, go back and do it on the next one. Go back and do it on the next one, right? This is going to bring you a lot of clarity, a lot of insight, and allow you to start the healing process, as well as moving you towards your goals and being that best version of you that I know you are and I know you want to be. So thanks for being here. I really appreciate you guys listening week to week. Please share this episode with others and leave me a review on wherever you listen so that we can get the word out about it and get more people to be the best versions of themselves that they can be. Talk to you next week.